Hey beloved, today I'm gonna talk about judging. Why do we judge? What is the root cause to judging? Can judging be rooted in pessimism? Let's begin. Don't judge too quickly. Judging and comparison often goes hand in hand. It's nitpicking every little detail in someone. Can judging be rooted in comparison, pride, self-pity, fear, selfish ambition, or enmity? Can it be an unresolved problem with self? Judging shows a reflection of who you are. It's easy to make false assumptions and accusations about people because they constantly appear to us to be that type of person. But what if our perception of them is totally off and inaccurate? Because honestly, we judge solely on what we see. Let me give you a real life example. So let's say someone is on a similar spiritual path as you are, and God blesses them with something you've always wanted yourself, and it's like you are angrily and almost bitterly what's the word? Venting to God, and you are telling him, Lord, but I'm here faithfully serving and loving you. So what about me? Why her or why him and not me? Am I not faithful enough? Am I not doing enough for you? And it's not a matter of who's more faithful or who's not, but it's a matter of who's ready and who's not. And maturity opens your eyes to see things through a mature sense. Someone can portray themselves to be a certain way. The way they act and carry about themselves can automatically say to people that you are this type of person. But in reality, that's not always true. You can be a totally different person, but people judge solely on what they see. But you know what? If they get to know you for who you truly are, they'd see that the person you really are is outstanding. There are things that we can work on bettering in our lives, our self-development. Pharisaical behavior is what God discourages. The Pharisees claimed to be these profound teachers of God's law, but they never lived up to what they taught. People looked up to them, but to what avail did that get them? They rejected the teachings of Christ because they were bound to the law. They were taught that in order to worship God, you had to perform a set of ordained rules. But Jesus taught the complete opposite. He said that in order to worship God, it must flow out of a sincere heart. It must flow out of true devotion, not a forced or rule-based one. Our religion is worthless to God when our worship of Him is solely fixed on outward adoration rather than inward surrender, genuine relationship, not a so everything that's in your heart flows in your attitude, your speech, your overall thinking. And what you value, what you highly value and treasure, it shows. So if you say that you love God and He means this much to you, it would flow in your speech, in your thinking patterns, in the way you handle a situation, in the way you would naturally handle unexpected challenges. It shows. So what you value is brought to plain light. So when I say genuine relationship, it's when you are honest with God and you reveal to Him the aspects of your personality that may not be flawless, but you are honest with Him, and you are, it's like, you know that you don't have to put on a facade where you want to appear to be perfect before Him, but you know that imperfection is beautiful unto Him. And the fact that you know that is honesty at its finest, and that in of itself is such a good worship unto Him. So right, this is a really good parable I think Jesus gave. And you know, His parables are always followed with a teaching. So He gave this parable with a Pharisee and a tax collector. So essentially what happened was the Pharisee went far off to pray because he was in a far distance from the tax collector, because he didn't want to be seen with that tax collector. He didn't want to be associated with that tax collector. And so both of them went to pray, and the Pharisee, he basically what he said was, Lord, I thank you that I'm not like sinners, revilers, drunkards, envious. And Lord, I thank you that I'm certainly not like that tax collector. And from that prayer, you can clearly see that pride is what is occupying his heart. Pride and boastfulness. Two things which God abhors greatly. But in people's eyes, the Pharisees are highly valued, highly looked upon, because they perform all these rituals, all these religious tasks, and I look up to you because you appear to be righteously right in the sight of God. But that's not what God sees. But He sees the things that you hide so deeply within. He sees that that pride and boastfulness that people may not see because they are they have a veil over their eyes. And when that veil is actually removed, then you would see who the Pharisees really are inwardly. But the tax collector, what did he say? He said, God, I am a sinner. And essentially he pleaded with God that he was a sinner in need of a savior, in need of forgiveness. And wow, he acknowledged his sin before God, and God saw that. And you know what God saw? He saw a broken and contrite spirit, which is very precious unto him. Now in society's eyes, you are looked down upon, you are hated, you are despised because of what you engage yourself in, by what you chose to do with your life. But in God's eyes, he sees that his heart was earnest and true. He sees what no one else sees, and he knows what no one else knows. Right. The tax collector portrayed humility at its finest, whilst the Pharisee portrayed self-pride and a boastful spirit. As I said, two things which God abhors. Now the Pharisees' religion was worthless because constantly thinking you're better than people and you are this flawless, righteous, highly respected person is the very reason the devil turned away from God, because he wanted to have the ultimate power, which resulted in his downfall. God sees the condition of your heart. Right, now the last paragraph I have here, listen carefully. Judging can be a reflection of oneself. It can be a way to escape or hide our insecurities. It determines one's self-confidence. Now I encourage you guys to work on yourself rather than realizing the faults in others. We are not in no place, or we have no right to call people out on certain things when we ourselves are in the same position as they are in. If you struggle with lying or bickering, then don't condemn someone for it. Have mercy if you yourself want to be shown mercy. That's how the reality of the kingdom is. Live on earth. I'm sorry guys. Live on earth as you would in heaven, right? So would there be any bickering, slandering, rivalry in heaven? No. So why give into those sinful devices here on earth when we can actually choose the better approach instead, which is to pray, bless, love, and hope for the best in people. Love like Christ, pray like David, hope like Samuel. Samuel believed that God chose David, the youngest son, the one who worked in the field, the one who had experiences no one saw or knew about. And God chose him to be king over Israel. Blessed like the father of the prodigal son. He welcomed his son back home into his arms even after his rebellion to him. Even after his rebellion to him. Now I'm gonna leave you with this verse, and it's a verse that can apply to us in every instance of our lives. So once we apply effectively, wow, can it help us so much? And this verse, it says that we should do unto others as we would want them to do unto us. Alright, beloved? Alright, be blessed with those words today. But guys, before I go, I just want to check something quickly. I think I missed out a certain aspect of something that I wanted to say. Let me see if I find it quickly. One sec. Alright guys, what I really wanted to say, David, he worked in the field tirelessly. So he was tirelessly tending for the sheep. No one knew the struggles he endured. He fought for the lives of the sheep, and God wanted him to be king over Israel. So what I really wanted to add on was the fact that he tirelessly tended for the sheep and fought for their lives, and no one knew about those struggles he endured but God. Alright, so people may not see what you actually do with your time and how you effectively use your time, but God, he sees, he knows, and he rewards greatly.